everyone, Bob Mehsikomer back at the Milwaukee Sentinel Sports Show. Now you know that we're anglers at heart, okay? We all like to go fish, catch walleyes, muskies, bass, whatever the case may be. Truth of the matter is that most of us are crossover sportsmen. We're outdoors people. We like to get out in the fall period when the fishing may not be to your comfort zone or what have you, and you might want to go do a few other things. However, when you think about hunting, you also have to think about the resource and what hunting does or does not do to the resource. And I've got somebody with me right now I think you're going to enjoy because he's going to give us some insight. He's got a pretty cool thing going on. I'll be perfectly candid with you. He is definitely somebody that's looking out for the resource. We are going to bring on Marlin Laidlaw. How you doing, Marlin?
How you doing? Nice to meet you.
Thanks for coming on the show. Let's talk a little bit about your organization, how it operates, and what the fundamentals are. What are you trying to do?
Okay, we are trying to recognize awesome animals that live on the lands of Wisconsin and are hunted by people in Wisconsin, harvested and taken away with people. Many of them hunt those animals up and put them in their trophy rooms or on the wall. And so it's our job to measure that animal up and give it a score, and then we rank it in a record.
So it's really about record keeping and then watching out for the environment and the resource at the same time.
Absolutely. We believe in having season frameworks so the resources will last a long time.
And you're a Wisconsin organization.
Absolutely.
And you're affiliated with organizations around the country that use the same point system that you do when it comes down to deciding how a buck points out. Explain to us how that works if you can.
Okay. Wisconsin accepts gun harvesting, crossbow harvesting, and archery harvesting. And there is Boone and Crockett, which is kind of the parent organization of all of us. They founded the scoring system, which we all use. They are for gun, crossbow, bow, whatever. But they are basically considered a gun organization, and it takes a higher number to be recognized in their records. Hoping Young is the archery version, and they just accept archery kills. There are other organizations that are recent, like the Oro, which is crossbows. Wisconsin handles them all. And basically, we use the same system throughout, and so there's continuity.
Exactly. The hunting season itself, now I'm not a hunter. Everybody that watches my show knows that I'm not. I spend literally the ice-up time fishing muskies. So that being said, what are the hunting seasons in Wisconsin? I've got an archery season, you got a rifle season, you might even have a muzzle-loaded season. So what are the seasons that people should be aware of in Wisconsin?
Okay. In the middle of September, we start with archery and crossbow. And that basically goes until early January, unless there's an area that we have a serious population issue and we want to hunt a little longer for anglers, deer. The rifle season starts over the weekend before Thanksgiving, and it goes traditionally and has forever. That's the season, 9 days. Then we also have our antlerless only seasons and muzzleloader seasons, which are guns or whatever you want to hunt them with. And those basically go right after the rifle season, and then back to archery up until January.
Our family owned a fishing resort up on Big McKenzie Lake out of Spooner for 35, 40 years. And one of the things that I remember most about the fall, when the lakes would become mine, if you will, and hunters would move on, that they let people out of school for a week in Wisconsin to go hunt deer.
My former employer said there are actually 2 more holidays in the year than actually recognized. There was the opening of the wet deer season the day before, and the opening of the fishing season the day before. And I think we ended up actually getting those off.
Well, I guess that's one way to write the rule book.
Yeah.
You set it up the way you want it. How does plotting and stuff come into play? There are hunters out there that like to improve their game quality by enhancing the quality of forage to these animals. I'm not an expert at it by any stretch, but probably you are.
Yeah, we're also hunting more than just the hunting season. We're out there planting, which is, something that keeps us engaged with hunting. And planting some soybean, planting some corn, planting something that helps the winter animals over. And there's a lot of areas that pretty wild country. There's just not a lot of nutrition out there. I mean, we live pretty much on drought. The people that are able to privately own that land open up little areas, put some of those plants in there, and obviously notice the difference in the growth of the animals that they see. Of course, age is another matter. They like to leave them go a couple extra years before we find that the public land, there are so many really good deer on the public land, people just don't really. And we don't quite understand it, but we think that people that go on public land maybe don't stay there as long. If they get some venison, they're happy, they go home. And the old bucks, they know enough to hide back.
Oh boy, do they ever. It's funny how game, no matter what game it is, as soon as hunting season even remotely gets close, it's like they've got a calendar. Let me talk a little bit, if I could, about I'm going to say this wrong, about hunting over the crop that you plant. Is that illegal to do?
Yes, well, the planted crops, food plots, you can hunt in those areas, but you're fairly smart, and they know if you came in there and climbed up the deer stand, so they'll wait until after dark to come out and eat. Once in a while, obviously, they make a mistake, but the big guys usually don't.
No, they don't make too many mistakes at all, I can guarantee you that.
Not having a lot to it, right?
If somebody were looking to get into hunting and they wanted to have the sure kill or what have you, what's the most common caliber that people are hunting with in the wilds here in Wisconsin?
Well, when people are starting, young folks out, they try to go with a small caliber, like a 243, something in that area. Little less kick, smaller person.
Fast and flat, too.
Fast and flat.
The trajectory is really flat.
A decent caliber for deer. And of course, when you get a little older, you gotta have more power.
7 millimeter?
7 millimeter. 40-08, Better is better, Until you get older. Then it's, oh, it hurts. Get rid of this heavy old thing that kicks like a mule and go back to my 243.
You're back to the little gun again, huh? Archery hunting. I had a good friend of mine, Pete Davids, who enticed me to go hunting one time. I've been deer hunting twice, unsuccessful twice. So anyway, he says to me, we have to go hunting. And I'm as green can be. So I go out and buy this compound bow. I take all this practice to learn how to shoot the doggone thing. I do all of this. I park my truck. This is up by our resort on Spooner. I park my truck. I walk in. Pete goes one way, I go, and I'm walking the woods with a bow and arrow. I'm thinking I'm going to shoot a deer with a bow and arrow. I walk this entire woods for pretty near a whole friggin' day. I come out of it, and there's a deer standing 10 yards from my truck. And it's a buck, right? And I said, I'm going to get that deer. I'm going to get that deer. I pulled back on this thing, and I got this rangefinder thing on it. It's supposed to tell me how I'm going to do it. I let this arrow go, right? It goes, and I'm sitting there, oh boy, was it ever. We get back, Pete comes out of the woods, and he says, did you see anything? And I said, I don't want to talk about it. Why? I said, Pete, I'm standing right where I shot at a deer right over there, and I estimated the yardage, right? And I said, my arrow didn't even come close, and so we paced it off. Well, my eyesight was worse than my shot. So I have a lot of respect for people who can go out and deer hunt successfully. Another time that I went deer hunting, which was kind of fascinating, I went hunting with my Uncle Pete, and Again, I'm not a hunter, but I'm sitting up on a rock cliff. We're out of Duluth, Minnesota. I'm sitting up on a rock cliff, and I'm looking out, and I see it's a snow. We had snow like last night, but not 9 inches, but 2-3 inches of snow. And I see what looks like a rock that has no snow on it. I thought, well, that's kind of curious. What's that all about? And I had a 7mm Magnum with a 3 to 9 Bushnell scope on it. I mean, I bought a good weapon. And I pulled the scope up on it, and I'm looking at this, and it's this magnificent buck. It's sitting there, on the hillside, laying down. And it's got this huge rack on it. It's turning its head like this, and all of a sudden I get a tap on my shoulder. And my uncle says, "Are you going to shoot that thing or make love to it?" And I says, "I got to be perfectly honest with you, Pete. I can't shoot that thing." And it sat there the whole time. We were so far away, it wouldn't know we were there. No, it had no idea we were there. In the suggestion form, what would be something that you would suggest the hunters partake in terms of preparation?
Well, obviously, in the fall, clothing was less important as far as the work goes. But certainly the camouflage is kind of important. But your enemy is your scent.
Oh, yeah.
And so there are all kinds of spray down things and stuff. But you can launder in laundry soap that doesn't leave a border, no perfumes, and also removes any scent that's in there. That is highly recommended. And then the other thing is rubber boots. They're rubber boots. They don't carry as much scent. You need to take care of your stuff after you wash it. Put it in a plastic bag. Put it in a cabinet that other odors aren't getting in there.
Exactly. When I was being introduced to hunting, we hung our clothes outside in a shed. They didn't come in the house. The clothes that we hunted in, the bright orange jackets and all this kind of stuff, it was bound out of the house. We didn't bring it in the house. And like I said, I'm not a hunter, so I didn't spend a great deal of time. I'm thinking, oh, this is kind of crazy. But the bottom line is, that's why. You said. How about physical activity? How about preparation? Because people don't realize how strenuous it is and how hyper you can get, adrenaline rush when you've got that big buck. You've got one of these trophy animals that you're talking about over here. One of those things are in your sight, and you go boom, 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 boom.
Your heart beats so loud, and you feel it in your ears, and you believe that deer must be able to hear it. But that is how intense it is. A wonderful feeling. When you lose that feeling, quit hunting.
Yeah, I'll say that. I've got one animal that I want to show before we get out of here, and it's a very special animal. So let's let the audience take a look at this critter because, wow, look at the horns on this thing. Is that what they call that, the horns?
The tines. Yeah. But the thing about that buck that really is amazing is the mass that's in that buck.
Oh, it's huge.
That was for a long time the world record typical whitetail. It was shot in 1914 by Jim Jordan up by Danbury, Wisconsin, over by the river up there. And he was a 19-year-old kid at the time. Shot it with a caliber that you would never think would be a hunting caliber, 25-20, which is just a tiny little bullet. And but he shot it a lot of times. Died in the river, the Yellow River over there. And he couldn't get it out by himself, so he went to town and got a guy with a buckboard and all his family, and they came out. Deer floated down the river. Deer found it a ways away, hanging in the tree. They dragged it out. They figured it weighed probably close to 400 pounds.
Wow.
Live weight.
Wow.
And had a huge track. Just a great story. But anyway, the mass on this thing, anybody that does measuring like we're doing here at the booth in the show, is the circumferential measurements of 4-inch average, the board that you get the 4 circumference in each side. The 4-inch average is a pretty good circumference. This deer has none under 6 inches. Whoa. What is that? That is a monstrous deer.
It is.
And if you ever get to come and see it in person, it is just beautiful.
Well, they can come down here to the sports show. We're at the Wisconsin State Fairgrounds in West Allis. We're at the Milwaukee Sentinel Sports Show. You have them on display. They can come down. They can talk to you. They can see these incredible creatures that you have there.
They can bring their trophy in and we'll measure it up for them.
Oh, absolutely. So you'll score them right there.
Oh, absolutely. That's what we're here for.
So they can bring in their mounted animal that they have on the wall and get a score for it.
Exactly. We love to do it.
That is really pretty cool. Folks, that being said, I'm going to say thanks for Marlin being on our show here. Now, I know we're a fishing show, but I had a little bit of fun doing this because, like I said, I showed you some of the inefficiencies that I have. I'm not a hunter. This gentleman is a hunter, understands the sport, understands what the sport means to society. That being said, folks, we are going to pull ourselves out of here, but I want everybody to know one thing before we leave. Come on down to the Milwaukee Sentinel Sports Show down here in West Allis, the Wisconsin State Fairgrounds. Meet the people that are here. The snow is off the roads now, folks. You don't have to worry about it anymore. Get off the couch, get the kids wound up, get some boots on them if need be, and come on down to the show. It's been our pleasure to bring you this edition right here from the Sports Show. Marlin, thanks for coming on. I appreciate it. Bye-bye, folks.